Celine, your body is heaven, Garvey murmured, his voice thick with desire as he pressed his lips against her neck, trailing heated kisses down her collarbone. Her soft moans were intoxicating, a symphony of pleasure that echoed through the lavish bedroom I had once called our sanctuary. I sat on the edge of the bed, my heart racing in a tumultuous mix of anger and despair. The pink sheets, once a symbol of our love, had become a stage for their illicit performances. The room was thick with the scent of betrayal, a pungent reminder of the life I had unwittingly stepped into. As I sat perched on the edge of the bed, a mere spectator in my own life, my husband, Garvey, wrapped Celine's baby pink bra around his head like a crown. It was a grotesque display, mocking the very fabric of our marriage. Their laughter danced through the air, mingling with the sounds of their bodies entangled in a passionate embrace. I felt like an audience member at a twisted performance, my heart thrumming in my chest, desperate for a way out. I was a spectator in my own life, shackled by the weight of their passion. Keep up with the rhythm, Garvey. Don't stop, Celine purred, her voice dripping with lust. The rhythmic creaking of the bed was a cruel reminder of the intimacy I craved but was never afforded. I wrapped my arms around my knees, trying to block out the reality unfolding before me, but it was impossible. The sounds of their pleasure filled the room, drowning out the haunting silence of my existence. My husband had made me prepare the bed for them, arranging the sheets and fluffing the pillows like a twisted servant to his whims. As I sat there, I felt more like a ghost haunting the remnants of a love that was never meant to be. Old woman, what's your problem? Did you forget what to watch and what not to? Celine sneered, her laughter cutting through me like a dagger. Garvey merely watched, a passive observer to my humiliation, offering no defense against her taunts. 10 years of marriage, and not once had he touched me. Not once had he looked at me with desire. I had eloped with Garvey, believing he would be my savior. But instead, I had traded one cage for another. Why did he even marry me? I often pondered, lost in a spiral of self-doubt. As I sat there, the weight of my reality crashed down on me. I was invisible, a relic of a past he seemed eager to forget. I recalled the night I had slipped into his room, desperate for a shred of intimacy, only to be met with cold indifference. He had merely thrown a duvet over me, pushing me back into the cold reality of our separation. Since then, I had given up on love, resigned to the belief that I would never know the warmth of his embrace. Every day, I was forced to clean up after his escapades, a grim reminder of the life I had unwittingly accepted. He brought home women, some more attractive than I, some less. But each encounter was a dagger to my heart. I could hear their moans, their laughter echoing through the walls, a constant reminder of my own inadequacy. Give me more, honey, more deep don't. Celine's voice pierced through my thoughts, and I felt bile rise in my throat. The intensity of their pleasure was a dagger to my heart, each moan a reminder of my own longing. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the house, pulling me from my dark reverie. I turned to see Garvey's phone vibrate off the nightstand, sending it clattering to the floor. It was a message from one of his other lovers, and for a fleeting moment, I felt a spark of hope ignite within me. What if I expose him? I thought, my heart racing with the thrill of rebellion. But before I could entertain the thought further, Garvey's voice broke through my reverie. Celine, I need you to stay quiet, he instructed, his tone suddenly serious. Nuel can't know about our plans. I felt my heart drop. Plans? What plans? The intrigue fueled my desire to uncover the truth, but I knew I was teetering on something dangerous. Garvey, what are you hiding? I whispered to myself, the question echoing in my mind as I prepared to confront whatever darkness lay ahead. The reality of my life was closing in around me, and I needed to either break free or succumb to the shadows that threatened to consume me whole. I received a cold slap on my face, but it wasn't from who I expected it from. Do you think she'd ever catch on? Celine teased, her voice dripping with mockery as she toyed with a strand of her hair. Poor Nuel, she's so naive. I could barely contain my fury as I listened from the shadows, hidden just outside the door. The revelation hit me like a freight train. Garvey and Celine were not just lovers. They were conspiring behind my back, weaving a web of deceit that threatened to ensnare me further. Just let her stay in the dark for a little while longer, Garvey replied, a hint of amusement in his tone. The contract expires soon, and then we'll be free to live our lives without her interference. My heart raced, a cacophony of emotions swirling within me: anger, betrayal, and a desperate need for answers. How could he do this to me? I had sacrificed everything for him, yet here he was, planning my demise like I was nothing more than a forgotten relic. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what I had to do. I had spent too long on the sidelines, and it was time to reclaim my power. I stepped into the room, forcing myself to confront the two of them, my heart pounding with both fear and resolve. What are you talking about? I demanded, my voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions raging within me. Both Garvey and Celine turned to face me, surprise etched across their faces. For a brief moment, time stood still, and I saw the flicker of uncertainty in Garvey's eyes. Nuel, I didn't see you there," he stammered, but I could see right through his facade. "What's going on?" I pressed, my heart pounding in my chest as I took a step closer, ready to unearth the truth. Just as Garvey opened his mouth to respond, the doorbell rang, interrupting our tense standoff. "Stay here," he ordered, his voice sharp as he shot me a warning glance. I watched as he rushed to the door, leaving me alone with Celine, whose smug smile only fueled my anger. "Looks like your husband has some secrets to keep," she taunted, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "You'll find out soon enough just how little you matter to him." The words hung in the air like a dark cloud, and as Garvey opened the door, I knew that my world was about to change in ways I could never have imagined. As Garvey opened the door, my heart raced with anticipation. The figure standing on the threshold was one I had never expected to see again: my estranged father, the man who had orchestrated my forced marriage to Garvey. His presence sent a shiver down my spine, and for the first time in years, I felt the walls of my carefully constructed life begin to crumble. "Dad," I whispered, the word escaping my lips before I could stop myself. Garvey turned to me, a look of panic flashing across his face as he realized the implications of my father's arrival. "What are you doing here?" I demanded, a tumult of emotions battling within me. And just like that, the stage was set for a confrontation that would change everything. The air was thick with tension as my father stood before me, his presence a bittersweet reminder of the life I had tried to escape. "Nuel," he began, his voice a mixture of authority and regret. "We need to talk." I felt a storm brewing within me, a clash of emotions that threatened to erupt at any moment. "Talk about what?" I shot back, my heart racing as I glanced at Garvey, who was now standing rigid by the door, his expression a mask of confusion and concern. "About your marriage, about your future," my father replied, his eyes flicking between Garvey and me. "I didn't come here to cause trouble, but I can't sit idly by while you waste your life with him." "Waste my life?" I echoed, incredulous. "You're the one who forced me into this marriage. You're the reason I'm trapped." "Trapped or saved?" he countered, his voice rising slightly. "You have no idea the sacrifices I made for you. Your mother's business went under, but marrying Garvey was supposed to give you a chance at a better life. And what kind of life is this?" I gestured towards Garvey, my voice trembling with suppressed rage. "A life where I'm ignored, disrespected, and forced to watch him with another woman?" Garvey stepped forward, his expression shifting from confusion to anger. "Nuel, this isn't what it looks like," he protested, but I knew better. I had seen too much, endured too much, to fall for his lies again. "Then what is it?" I challenged, crossing my arms defiantly. "Tell me, Garvey. What is this? A game, a joke?" Before he could respond, my father interjected. "Nuel, listen to me. I'm here to help you. This marriage can be annulled. You can have a fresh start. You think it's that simple?" I shot back, my voice rising in frustration. "You don't know what I've been through. You don't know the pain I've endured." "Then let me help you move past it," he urged, his eyes softening. "You have a chance to reclaim your life. Don't let him keep you in this prison." As I stood there, torn between the man I once loved and the father who had abandoned me, I felt a sudden surge of clarity. "I don't need saving," I declared, my voice steady. "What I need is to confront the truth." Garvey's eyes widened, fear creeping in as he realized I was no longer the passive woman he had taken for granted. "Nuel, please." But before he could finish, the door swung open wider, revealing a figure that made my heart drop. Celine stood there, her expression a mix of shock and amusement as she took in the scene before her. "What's going on here?" she asked, her tone dripping with disdain. "Is this a family reunion I wasn't invited to?" The tension in the room escalated, and I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on us. I had to act, to take control before the situation spiraled out of my grasp. "Celine, you have no idea what you're walking into," I warned, my voice low and measured. "This is between me and Garvey. Between you and Garvey." She laughed, a cruel sound that grated on my nerves. "Please, you're nothing but a placeholder. He's mine now. Is that what you think?" My voice was steady, my resolve hardening, because I refused to be anyone's placeholder any longer. I stepped past Garvey, my eyes locked onto Celine's. "You think you can just waltz in here and take what's mine? You have no idea what I'm capable of." The challenge hung in the air, thick and electric. I felt empowered, a fire igniting within me that had long been extinguished. Just as I opened my mouth to deliver my next words, Garvey's phone buzzed again, and he instinctively reached for it. "I need to take this," he muttered, retreating to the side. The moment felt suspended in time, a tense standoff between Celine and me. "You're making a mistake, Nuel," she sneered, stepping closer, her voice low and threatening. "You're not as important as you think you are. Don't underestimate me." I shot back, my heart pounding with determination. "I've spent too long in your shadow. It's my time to shine." The moment hung like a fragile glass ornament, teetering on the edge of breaking. I could feel the ground shifting beneath us, and for the first time, I felt a sense of freedom that I hadn't known I was missing. Just as Celine opened her mouth to respond, Garvey returned, his expression suddenly grave. "Nuel, you need to see this," he said, his voice low and urgent, holding out his phone. "It's about Celine." A wave of apprehension washed over me as Garvey handed me his phone. I hesitated, my heart racing as I glanced at Celine, who wore an expression of disbelief mixed with something darker. "What are you talking about?" I demanded, my voice steady despite the tumult of emotion swirling within me. "Just look," Garvey urged, his eyes darting between me and Celine. I took the phone, my fingers trembling slightly as I unlocked the screen. The message was from an unknown number, but the content was the last thing I expected. "Your husband is planning to leave you. He's already signed the divorce papers. Don't let him fool you." My breath caught in my throat, and I felt the ground shift beneath me once more. Celine's eyes widened, and I could see the realization dawning on her face. "Garvey, is this true?" I questioned, my voice sharper than I intended. His expression faltered, and for a moment, I saw the man I once loved, the man who had promised me a future. "Nuel, don't lie to me," I interrupted, my heart pounding in my chest. "Is this some kind of sick joke?" Celine stepped closer, her voice dripping with malice. "You really thought he wanted you? You're just a stepping stone, Nuel. You're nothing to him." "No," I spat, the words bursting forth with a fervor I didn't know I possessed. "You don't get to define my worth." The tension was palpable, electricity crackling in the air as I stood my ground. I felt empowered, a fierce warrior ready to reclaim her life from the clutches of betrayal. Garvey's gaze dropped to the floor, and I could see the conflict warring within him. "Nuel, I had to do what was best for me." "Best for you?" I echoed, incredulous. "What about what's best for me, Garvey? You've taken everything from me, and now you want to abandon me." "Enough," Celine snapped, her voice like ice. "This is pointless. You're wasting your time, Nuel. Garvey is mine, and there's nothing you can do about it. Don't bet on that," I countered, my resolve hardening. "You might think you've won, but I'm just getting started." As the words left my mouth, I felt a surge of confidence course through me. I had spent years as a shadow in my own life, but now I was stepping into the light, ready to fight for my freedom. Garvey looked torn, caught between two worlds, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of doubt cross his face. "Don't you dare walk away from me again, Garvey," I shouted, my voice echoing through the room. "You've made your choice, and now it's time for me to make mine." Just as I turned to leave, Celine lunged forward, grabbing my arm with a fierce grip. "You think you can just walk away? This is far from over, Nuel." Before I could respond, Garvey pulled out a document from his pocket, the words "divorce papers" emblazoned across the top. "Nuel, I'm sorry, but this is happening whether you like it or not," he declared, and in that moment, the world around me crumbled. I stood frozen, staring at the divorce papers in Garvey's hands as if they were a ticking time bomb. The weight of his betrayal sank in, and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. "You can't be serious," I gasped, my voice barely above a whisper. "This isn't what I wanted, Nuel," Garvey replied, his voice thick with emotion. "But it's what's best for both of us." "Best for both of us?" I echoed, incredulous. "You've spent years tearing me apart, and now you want to add insult to injury." Celine stepped closer, her eyes gleaming with triumph. "You see, Nuel, your husband has made his choice. You're nothing but a faded memory to him now." "Shut up," I snapped, my anger flaring. "You think you've won, but I'm not going down without a fight." Garvey's expression shifted, a flicker of doubt crossing his features. "Nuel, please, just let it go. We can both move on." "Move on," I scoffed, feeling the fire of determination igniting within me. "You think I'll just sit back and let you destroy my life?" "No, Nuel," he said quietly, desperation creeping into his voice. "I'm doing this for you. You deserve better." "Better?" I echoed, disbelief flooding my veins. "You're the one who has kept me in the dark for too long. You've treated me like a prisoner in my own life." "Maybe this is for the best," Celine chimed in, her smile condescending. "You can finally let go of this fantasy you've been living in." "That's enough," I shouted, my voice reverberating through the room. My anger was a force to be reckoned with, a tidal wave crashing against the shores of my despair. "I won't let you dictate my life any longer." Taking a deep breath, I squared my shoulders, the fire within me burning brightly. I glanced at Garvey, determination etched across my features. You may have the papers, but I refuse to sign anything until I know the truth. Garvey's expression faltered, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of the man I had once loved. Nuel, please. But before he could finish, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out and saw a message from him, my childhood friend. Nuel, I found something out about Garvey. We need to talk. My heart raced at the urgency of his message. I have to go, I announced, my voice steady. I can't do this right now. Where do you think you're going? Celine sneered, stepping in front of me. You're not leaving until we settle this. Step aside, Celine, I commanded, my voice firm. I'm done playing games. As I pushed past her, Garvey's voice followed me. Nuel, please, don't do this. But I was already out the door, the weight of the divorce papers heavy in my mind as I made my way to him. I needed answers, and I was determined to uncover the truth. As I reached the corner of the street, I spotted him leaning against his car, his expression grave. Nuel, you need to hear this. It's about Garvey's business dealings, he said urgently, and I felt a chill run down my spine. It's worse than you think. The moment I slid into the passenger seat, I could feel the tension radiating off him. What's going on? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Nuel, I've been digging into Garvey's business since you shared your concerns with me, he began, his eyes locking onto mine with a seriousness that made my heart race. There are financial discrepancies, money missing from his accounts, and I think it's tied to something bigger. Bigger, I echoed, my mind racing. What do you mean? I think he's involved in some shady dealings, and it's not just about his affairs. Hyman replied, his voice low. I've seen the records, Nuel. This isn't just about your marriage. This goes deeper. What do you mean? I pressed, clinging to the edge of my seat. How deep? Hyman hesitated, his expression grave. I think he's been using you as a cover for his operations. He's been keeping you in the dark to protect his interest. The words hung in the air like a heavy weight, and I felt my world tilt on its axis. But why? Why would he do that? Because you were his perfect alibi, Hyman replied, his voice steady. No one would suspect a married couple like you two. It's a classic cover story. My heart raced as I processed his words. Garvey had manipulated me for so long, and I had been too blind to see it. What do we do? I asked, desperation creeping into my voice. We need to gather evidence, Hyman said firmly. We need to expose him for who he truly is. As I sat there, the realization hit me like a punch to the gut. Garvey wasn't just a cheating husband. He was a man hiding behind layers of deception, and I had been his unwitting accomplice. I'm ready, I declared, my voice steadying with newfound resolve. I refuse to be a pawn any longer. I will take back my life. Hyman's expression softened, and he reached out, placing a comforting hand on my shoulder. I'll help you, Nuel. You're not alone in this. Just as I felt a glimmer of hope, my phone buzzed again, and I glanced at the screen. It was a message from Garvey. Nuel, we need to talk. It's urgent. Meet me at the office. The urgency in his words sent a shiver down my spine, and I felt a rush of adrenaline. He wants to meet, I said, glancing at Hyman. We can't let him know we're onto him, Hyman cautioned. It could put you in danger. I can handle myself, I replied, a fire igniting within me. I'll confront him. I need to know what he's really up to. With determination coursing through my veins, I made my decision. I would face Garvey and demand the truth, no matter the cost. As I stepped out of the car, I felt my phone vibrate again. This time, it was a video message from an unknown number. My heart raced as I opened it, and my world shattered once more as I watched Garvey in a compromising position with another woman this time. It was someone I recognized all too well. My heart raced as I stared at the screen, the betrayal cutting deeper than I thought possible. The woman in the video was none other than one of my closest friends, someone I had confided in during my darkest moments. What the hell is this? I gasped, my voice barely above a whisper. Nuel, are you okay? Hyman asked, looking concerned as he leaned closer to see my phone. His eyes widened as the video played, the reality of Garvey's infidelity hitting him like a freight train. I can't believe this, I muttered, my hands shaking. How could he do this to me? To us? Nuel, you need to stay calm, Hyman urged, his voice steady. This could be the evidence we need to take him down for good. But I couldn't focus on that. All I could think about was the betrayal, the shattered trust, and the woman I thought was a friend. I thought she cared about me. I whispered, tears stinging my eyes. We'll figure this out, Hyman said, his voice firm. But first, you need to confront Garvey. We need to see how he reacts to this. Confront him? I echoed, the thought both thrilling and terrifying. What if he tries to deny it? Then we'll have the proof to back you up, he replied. You deserve answers, Nuel. You deserve the truth. With a deep breath, I nodded, steeling myself for the confrontation ahead. As we made our way to Garvey's office, The weight of the world pressed down on my shoulders. I was ready to face the man who had torn my life apart. As I stepped into the office, I felt a surge of confidence. Garvey was sitting behind his desk, a look of surprise crossing his face as I entered. "Nuel, what are you doing here?" he asked, his tone offensive. "I'm here for the truth," I declared, my voice steady as I locked eyes with him. "I know everything." His expression shifted, and I could see the fear creeping into his eyes. "What do you mean?" I pulled out my phone. The video's still fresh in my mind. "I have proof, Garvey, proof of your betrayal." "I don't know what you're talking about," he began, but I cut him off, my heart racing with determination. "Don't lie to me," I shouted, slamming my hand on the desk. "I saw you with her. You think I would let you manipulate me any longer?" The air in the room thickened with tension, and I could see the walls closing in around him. "Nuel, please." But I wasn't finished. "You've used me as a cover for your lies, and I'm done being your pawn. You're going to tell me everything, or I'll expose you for who you really are." Just as I finished speaking, my phone buzzed again, a notification lighting up the screen. I glanced down, and my heart dropped as I saw a message from my father. "Nuel, it's urgent. You need to come home right away." Before I could respond, Garvey's expression shifted, a flicker of something dark crossing his face. "You should really listen to your father, Nuel," he warned, his voice low. "Some things are better left alone." I stood in the office, Garvey's warning echoing in my mind as I processed the weight of his words. "What do you mean by that?" I demanded, my voice steady despite the apprehension creeping into my heart. He leaned back in his chair, a smug expression settling on his face as if he held all the cards. "Let's just say there are consequences to digging too deep. Nuel, you might not like what you find." A chill ran down my spine. I could feel the walls closing in as the reality of my situation hit me again. What had I gotten myself into? Garvey was no longer just my husband. He was a man shrouded in secrets, a stranger who had used my trust against me. "I've already seen enough," I shot back, my resolve hardening. "You can't intimidate me anymore. I'm taking control of my life." Garvey's expression shifted, anger flickering in his eyes. "Control? You think you have control? You're playing a dangerous game, Nuel. You have no idea what I'm capable of." "Then show me," I challenged, my heart racing with a mix of fear and adrenaline. "I want to know who you really are." Before he could respond, my phone buzzed again, and I glanced down to see another message from my father. "Nuel, please hurry. It's about your mother." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. My mother. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. What could possibly be wrong? "Garvey, I have to go," I said, my voice trembling slightly as I turned to leave. "Nuel, wait," he called after me, desperation lacing his tone. "I can explain everything. Just give me a chance." But I couldn't do it. I wouldn't let him manipulate me any longer. As I stepped out of the office, my heart raced with a mixture of fear and determination. I needed to know what was happening with my mother, and I needed to confront my father about the past he had kept hidden from me. The drive home felt like an eternity. My mind raced with thoughts of Garvey, Celine, and the secrets that threatened to unravel my life. I had been a pawn in their game for far too long, and now I was ready to take my life back. As I pulled into my parents' driveway, I could see my father waiting on the porch, his expression grave. I stepped out of the car, my heart pounding, and made my way toward him. "What's going on?" I asked, my voice steady despite the storm brewing inside me. "Your mother is in the hospital," he replied, his voice heavy with concern. "She collapsed earlier today." I didn't know who else to turn to. My heart sank at the news. "What happened? Is she okay?" He shook his head, his eyes filled with worry. "They're running tests, but they don't know what's wrong yet. I thought you should be here." As those words left his mouth, I felt a wave of guilt wash over me. All the years I had spent resenting him for forcing me into a loveless marriage came crashing down. Here was the man who had tried to protect me, and now he was asking for my help in a time of crisis. "Dad, I began, but the words caught in my throat. "Let's go inside," he urged, leading the way. "We need to be there for her." As we entered the house, I felt the weight of my past pressing down on me. I had spent so long running away from my family, from the pain they had caused, but now I was faced with the reality of my mother's fragile health. Inside, the air felt thick with tension, and the faint sound of a heart monitor beeped in the background as we approached her room. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what lay ahead. When I stepped through the door, I was met with the sight of my mother lying in a hospital bed, her face pale and fragile. Tears filled my eyes as I rushed to her side, taking her hand in mine. "Mom, I'm here," I whispered, my voice breaking as I squeezed her hand. "I'm here." My father stood by the door, watching silently as I tried to process the reality of the situation. The years of resentment, anger, and heartache melted away as I focused on the woman who had given me life. "Mom, please wake up. I need you," I pleaded, my heart aching with the weight of my emotions. The minutes stretched into an eternity as I sat by her side, praying for her to regain consciousness. I couldn't lose her, not like this. Suddenly, I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket, pulling me from my thoughts. I glanced at the screen and saw another message from him. "Nuel, I found something that could change everything. Meet me at the cafe." My heart raced at the urgency of his words, and I glanced back at my mother, her face serene, almost as if she were resting peacefully. I knew I had to make a decision. "Dad, I'll be right back," I said, my voice steady as I stood up. "I need to talk to him. I'll be back soon." "Be careful, Nuel," he warned, concern etched on his face. "I don't want you getting involved in anything dangerous." "I'll be fine," I assured him. But deep down, I felt the weight of uncertainty looming over me. As I stepped out of the hospital, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was standing on the precipice of a new beginning, a chance to reclaim my life and uncover the truth behind Garvey's lies. As I drove to the cafe, my mind raced with questions. What had Hyman discovered? And how deep did Garvey's deceit run? Just as I pulled into the parking lot, my phone buzzed with an incoming call. It was Garvey. "Where are you, Nuel?" he demanded, his voice laced with urgency. "We need to talk. It's about your mother." I hesitated, jaw tight as I considered whether to answer. Garvey's voice was like a dark cloud over my heart, but I knew I couldn't avoid him forever. "What do you mean it's about my mother?" I snapped, my grip tightening on the steering wheel. "Just meet me at the office. I promise it's important," he insisted, his tone shifting slightly as if he were genuinely concerned. "Why should I trust you?" I shot back, anger and betrayal coursing through my veins. "Because I have information that could help her," he replied, and for the first time, I sensed a hint of sincerity in his voice. "I know things you don't, Nuel, just come." The urgency in his tone was unsettling, and I felt the familiar tug of conflicting emotions. Did I really want to confront him again? Or was this another trap? "I'll think about it," I responded, my heart racing as I hung up. As I stepped into the cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, but I barely noticed. My mind was preoccupied with the weight of my choices. I spotted him at a corner table, his expression serious as he waved me over. "Nuel, thank you for coming," he said, his voice low. "I found something that could change everything." "What is it?" I asked, my heart pounding with anticipation. He slid a folder across the table, and I opened it to find documents detailing Garvey's business dealings. "These are financial statements, contracts, and even some emails I managed to obtain," Hyman explained. "He's been funneling money into offshore accounts, and I think it's tied to something bigger." My heart sank as I scanned the pages. "This is incriminating," I murmured, feeling a mix of anger and empowerment. "What do you think he's doing with this money?" "I think he's involved in more than just a fashion business," Hyman replied, his expression grave. "There are connections here to some shady figures in the industry. It's all very suspicious." I felt a surge of determination wash over me. This was the evidence I needed to confront Garvey and reclaim my life. "We need to expose him," I said, my voice steady. "I won't let him manipulate me any longer." Just as I finished speaking, my phone buzzed again, and I glanced at the screen. It was another message from Garvey. "Nuel, please, I'm at the office. You need to come now. Your mother's life could depend on it." My heart raced at the urgency of his words, and I glanced at Hyman, who looked equally concerned. "What do you think he means?" Hyman asked, brow furrowed in worry. "I don't know, but I can't ignore it," I said, determination flooding my veins. "I'll confront him and find out the truth once and for all." With a deep breath, I stood up, feeling the weight of my decision settle on my shoulders. As I made my way back to my car, I knew I was stepping into the unknown, but I was ready to face whatever lay ahead. As I drove back to the office, my heart raced with anticipation and dread. Just before I reached the building, my phone buzzed again. It was a news alert. "Local CEO found dead under suspicious circumstances." The name flashed across the screen, Garvey Heatherson. My heart raced as I realized the implications. What had I walked into? The world around me blurred as I processed the news of Garvey's death. My hands trembled on the steering wheel, the weight of the situation crashing down on me. "No, this can't be happening," I murmured, my heart pounding in my chest. What did I just walk into? I pulled into the office parking lot, my mind racing with questions. Had he truly been involved in something dangerous? Or was this all part of a larger scheme? The gravity of the situation left me breathless as I stepped out of the car and made my way inside. The atmosphere in the office was tense, the usual buzz replaced by whispers and murmurs. I could feel the eyes of my coworkers on me, their expressions a mix of shock and curiosity. "Did you hear what happened?" one of them whispered as I passed. Yeah, I can't believe it, another replied. Garvey was such a prominent figure in the industry. I felt a cold wave of uncertainty wash over me as I reached Garvey's office. The door was slightly ajar, and I hesitated for a moment before pushing it open. Inside, the room was eerily silent. Papers were scattered across the desk, and the air felt heavy with unresolved tension. I stepped inside, my heart racing as I scanned the room for any sign of what had transpired. Garvey, I called, my voice trembling slightly. There was no response, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. What if I was too late? What if he had truly been involved in something sinister? Just then, my phone buzzed again, and I glanced down to see a message from him. Nuel, I'm at the office. You need to see this. The urgency in his message propelled me forward as I quickly made my way back to the entrance. I found him waiting for me, his expression serious. What did you find? I asked, my heart racing. I have something that could change everything, he replied, his voice low. It's about Garvey's connections, there's evidence. He was tied to a larger criminal network. My stomach dropped as I processed his words. What do you mean? I found documents that suggest he was laundering money for a group involved in illegal activities. This is bigger than we thought, Heyman said, his eyes wide with concern. If they think you know anything, they'll come after me. I finished, the weight of his words sinking in. Exactly, he confirmed, his expression grave. We need to act fast. As I stood there, fear coursing through my veins, I felt a surge of determination. I had spent too long being used and manipulated. It was time to take control of my life. Let's expose him, I said, my voice steady. We can't let Garvey's legacy continue to cover up his crimes. Returning home, I knew I had to act. I gathered all the evidence of Garvey's fraudulent activities, and with Heyman's encouragement, I tipped off the authorities. The day they came for him was surreal. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Garvey Heatherson, you're under arrest for fraud, the officer announced, handcuffing him as he stood there. Mouth agape, disbelief etched on his face. No, this can't be happening, he shouted, but the reality of his actions caught up with him. I watched from a distance, a mixture of satisfaction and relief washing over me. With Garvey out of the picture, I made the bold decision to relocate to a new country, leaving behind the pain of my past. With him by my side, I embraced the challenges of building my brand. The support I received was overwhelming, and soon, my designs gained popularity. Nuel, you did it. Him and Jackson cheered as we watched my first collection debut. I couldn't help but smile, feeling a warmth spread through me that I hadn't felt in years. As I stood there, surrounded by the vibrant energy of my new life, I realized that I was no longer the woman trapped in a loveless marriage. I was Nuel Heatherson, but now Nuel Jackson, a creator, a survivor, and finally free. I signed the divorce papers back at Garvey's and left them on his bed boldly, just like the way he used to lay, with other women right there boldly. I don't care if he signed his part or not, but I'm no longer his to keep. I deserve so much better. I left behind all my belongings and every single thing that could remind me of Garvey Heatherson at his house and joined my newfound lover boy on air to my favorite city, Hong Kong. I had always dreamt of visiting Hong Kong someday, but I just didn't have the financial capacity to afford it back then. All bills on my baby, him and Jackson by the way. He immediately booked our flight and sent me healing money to heal from my parents, Garvey, and heartbreak. I've finally found someone who respects my choices. Celine sent Garvey Heatherson 6 feet underneath when he returned from jail. So I heard from our family doctor on a random day. The disgrace I gave Celine at the aisle covered up for all she did to me behind the scenes. She couldn't hold the anger of him, disgracing her at the church and in the midst of everyone. She went back to Garvey's home after crying a river. She couldn't hold back herself, but drove into him immediately he escaped from jail. In the weeks that followed, I found myself stepping into a new reality. With Garvey beneath and Celine behind bars, I was finally free to reclaim my narrative. The evidence I had gathered became the foundation for my fight against their criminal activities, and I was determined to see justice served. I reestablished my connection with my family. Working through years of hurt and resentment, my mother's health improved, and we began to rebuild our relationship. Slowly but surely, I decided to pick up my painting materials and go back to my favorite old hobby, which Garvey never allowed me to. I catharsized down my emotions into a very attractive work of art. It was a pair of eyes, tearing profusely and uncontrollably with 2 bottles underneath them, one for each. The bottles were filled with tears and overflowing, pouring down to the earth. I used the work of art to express my entire life. It was a novel on its own, and I guess this just had to be the last chapter. I mean, I couldn't suffer more than this. As I found my voice, I also rediscovered my passion for art. I began painting again, using my experiences to create pieces that resonated with others. My art became a form of therapy, a way to express the emotions I had bottled up for so long, and an extra means of income as well. As I stood in my studio, surrounded by vibrant colors and canvases, I felt a sense of fulfillment wash over me. I was no longer the woman trapped in a loveless marriage. I was now Nuel Jackson, a survivor ready to embrace the future. With each brushstroke, I poured my heart into my art, crafting a narrative of resilience and empowerment. I was ready to face whatever came next, knowing that I had the strength to overcome any obstacle. Just as I finished my latest piece, my newfound lover placed an alpha kiss on my lips. It was my first kiss, and our first kiss ever. My baby bear calmly and intentionally put his lips on mine, licking my tongue to a fault. It was indeed sensational, or should I say romantic. I finally knew what it felt like to be genuinely loved and caressed. Him lifted me by the waist and carried me into the master's bedroom of our new home. He loosened my robe, exposing my fresh and untouched features. I instantly became turned on, excited that I would no longer be a 29-year-old virgin in a few. I'm now legally married to the loving and wealthy businessman, Jackson. I had never felt this loved in my entire life. Oh my. Subscribe to stay updated so you can watch more interesting, unique, and exclusive stories like this. Thank you.